Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Ghana gets a new elections boss, our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, July 26th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. President David Granger has named Justice Claudette Singh as the new chairman of the Ghana Elections Commission, GCOM. She replaces retired Justice James Patterson, whose appointment the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, ruled was flawed. The decision to go with Justice Singh as Patterson's successor followed a meeting on Friday between President Granger and leader of the opposition Barrett Jagdeo, where they continue to hammer out a list of nominees acceptable to the president. In a brief statement, the president's office said Jagdeo submitted the list of his final nominees following their meeting, and Granger reviewed the names to bring the selection process to a speedy and favorable conclusion. The opposition leader hailed Justice Singh's selection from the list as a great development for the country.
With this development, the process was consensual. The names on the list enjoy my confidence, and they enjoy the confidence of the president. They were found not unacceptable to him, and therefore he chose from a list of 6 names that I submitted to him. And so there was no question of a unilateral appointment being done here. And that's a great development for Guyana. Justice Singh enjoys our confidence. We believe that she will deliver fair elections, and that's all that the PPP wants from any chairperson of GCOM: fair and timely elections. And so we're very, very pleased with the development here today, and this brings us closer, one stage closer to an election date, which now must be announced with urgency.
But the opposition leader and the government are still at odds over the election date. While PPP supporters protested again on Friday, pressing for elections to be called, President Granger has insisted that setting the date is dependent on GCOM's readiness, and not even the Caribbean Court of Justice can rush the process. But he said his administration remains committed to free, fair and credible elections with an acceptable voters list. The president made the comments as he met with members of the diplomatic community to clarify recent political developments that he said have been subject to some misinterpretation and misrepresentation of government's intentions. He was adamant that his government has not contravened either the Constitution or the ruling of the CCJ, which validated the December 21, 2018 no-confidence vote against his government and ordered elections be held. Granger said the court cannot instruct when general elections must be held because GCOM is an independent agency. And he says there are no deadlines or timelines, and there is no date for Guyanese to return to the polls.
No other agency or organ of the state has responsibility for elections. Only the Elections Commission. The independence of the Elections Commission is safeguarded by the Constitution. It is insulated from political influence, instruction, and interference. The President cannot influence. The President cannot instruct. The President cannot interfere. The President cannot tell the Election Commission when elections must be held. Neither can the courts.
In other news, the Trinidad and Tobago government is moving to have the whistleblower who informed about an international data research company's data mining that allegedly involved the last administration testify before Parliament's Joint Select Committee. Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi said the government is seeking to bring the evidence home. Cambridge Analytica has been accused of harvesting information from millions of Facebook users, and the former People's Partnership government in Trinidad is alleged to have engaged the services of the company, an allegation dismissed by opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who was Prime Minister at the time. In 2017, whistleblower Christopher Wiley testified before a UK House of Commons committee and US Senate committee, as you see here, about alleged Cambridge Analytica's unauthorized possession of personal private data from 87 million Facebook user accounts obtained for creating targeted political campaigns for the 2016 US presidential elections. He also alleged that Aggregate IQ, a company set up alongside Cambridge Analytica, worked on a project in TNT in 2013 for a former national security minister, attempting to harvest browsing data of the Twin Island Republic's population. The scandal formed the basis of a Netflix documentary entitled The Great Hack, which was premiered on Wednesday. Questioned about the documentary at the post-cabinet media briefing on Thursday, Al-Rawi revealed that government, through its lawyers, had been in contact with Wiley on several occasions, and they have had active discussions.
Mr. Wiley's attorneys, in writing to ours, have indicated his willingness to assist Trinidad and Tobago in identifying in open form the culprits behind Cambridge Analytica, who are culprits who sat in the last government structure.
The Attorney General was adamant that the matter is a very serious one.
Trinidad and Tobago features as the genesis of Cambridge Analytica. In the period while Mrs. Persad-Bissessar was the Prime Minister of this country, Netflix is now sending out its program, its completed product, to the world at large. The government is engaged in a joint select exercise chaired by Minister Hines. The Office of the Attorney General has, for the last year and a half, been engaged with attorneys at law for Mr. Wiley. This is not just small stakes. This is very large stakes with international repercussions in multiple jurisdictions in the United States, in the United Kingdom. I can tell you now publicly, I myself attended the National Crime Agency in the United Kingdom and sat together with law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, the Department of Justice, the British various departments of justice, Serious Crime Office, etc., the Information Commissioner. We had a full participatory meeting on this matter.
Al-Rawi said more will be said about the matter in due course. The Belize government is lodging a strong protest with the Guatemala government following an incident between the local defense force and the Guatemalan armed forces, the GAF, on the disputed Sarstoon River. Earlier this week, the GAF tried to impede access to the Sarstoon by a civilian vessel. The Ministry of National Security in Belize described the incident as disappointing, especially given that the two countries are heading to the International Court of Justice to settle their territorial dispute. We get more in this News 5 report.
This is a member of the Guatemalan Armed Forces telling Belizean Will Maia and 6 others that Sarstoon Island and river is for Guatemala. He tells Maia that they need to produce documentation to traverse the river.
Why will we have a paper for our own country?
No, this belongs to Guatemala.
This belongs to Guatemala.
Yeah.
Well, as far as we know, this belongs to Belize. But you won't let us go up this river.
Yeah, because it belongs to Guatemala, and you're not allowed to. So I'd like to please to return. All right. Have a nice day.
The worrying incident unfolding on July 23rd when Maia attempted to escort members of the Sarsoon Tamash Institute for Indigenous Management's team to Black Creek to investigate the illegal logging of timber by Guatemalans. The group of belligerents approached the forward operating base and requested an escort to proceed into the Sarsoon River. A few minutes up the Sarsoon, 2 Guatemalan gunboats filled with armed Guatemalan soldiers set chase after the belligerents.
When we got to the BDF base, they told us we could go ahead and proceed. About 10 minutes after we were on the river, we heard the sound coming. And when we looked back, it was the Guatemalan Armed Forces. They came and they stopped us. And you'll see in 3 instances where they stopped us, we explained to them we were in Belize. Secondly, you'll see where they tried their best to intimidate us, trying to sink our boat, as a matter of fact.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is now lodging a strong protest to the Guatemalan government. CEO in the Ministry of National Security, Felix Enriquez, says the Belizean government describes this latest incident as, quote, very disappointing and demonstrates bad faith at a time when both countries have made significant progress in moving towards a permanent solution to the long-standing unfounded territorial claim, unquote.
We are disappointed with what happened. We really thought that since we had moved forward, both countries have moved forward as to how we go about settling the dispute. They would have been a bit more mature in the way how they handle our civilians traveling down the Sarsoon, but that didn't happen. And so we have asked the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to express in a strong way that we are disappointed in what happened. To protest in a strong way, you know.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, legislation amended in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to make marijuana smoking a ticketable offense. Stay with us.
When you think of what we went through with Hurricane Irma, you had to be able to recognize what are the things we need to do to cope with the aftermath. The psychological trauma, to me, is probably the most telling on a lot of people.
Preparedness is the key. So when people are prepared, when people have what their resources in terms of how they can cope with the disaster, they're better able to be able to return to their normal life. They're better able to make decisions that are informed for themselves and for their family, and then for their community. Be ready. Look, listen, and link.
Today we have another medical malpractice case that we're going to be talking about. Miss Waheed.
Saria Waheed.
Yeah. Tell our audience about who she was and what happened to her.
Saria was a woman from who had come to America from Pakistan in her mid-60s, who had a lovely family, husband Abdul, great people, who had a routine urological procedure.
Continuing with the news, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Parliament has amended legislation to make smoking 2 ounces or less of marijuana a ticketable offense. The law also makes it legal for people to use the drug in their home or at places of Rastafarian worship. The fine for smoking in public is $500 EC if a person is convicted in a magistrate's court, but if an offender admits to the offense to the police, they would be given a month to pay an $80 ticket. But opposition leader Dr. Goodwin Friday has suggested that the law does not go far enough. He questioned why the government was being so timid, noting that in Antigua and Barbuda, for example, it's legal for a person to grow up to 4 marijuana plants on private premises. Friday said that to benefit from the new provisions in the St. Vincent legislation, a person would have to commit another offense, that's buying the drug from an illegal trafficker, since they can't grow it themselves. The opposition leader contended that if possession of a small quantity of the drug is allowed, then growing small quantities for personal use should be as well. Newly appointed Haitian Prime Minister Fritz William Michel has named an 18-member cabinet, but faces an uphill task getting his nomination ratified by legislators. The former executive in the Ministry of Economy and Finance became the 4th Prime Minister since President Jovenel Moïse was elected in 2017. Michel replaced Jean-Michel Lapin, who announced earlier this week that he was stepping down in the interest of the country. But legislators remain divided on his appointment, with some insisting that President Moïse should step down in the wake of allegations of embezzlement related to the Petro-Carib oil initiative with Venezuela, and call fresh elections. 4 opposition senators who were instrumental in blocking the last prime minister's ratification say they also disapprove of Michel's cabinet. Other legislators have warned that no session to ratify Michel's general policy will be held until Moïse is removed from office. But at least 2 senators say they welcome Michel's appointment and are prepared to vote on his general policy. Antigua Carnival 2019 is on, and Dominica gears up for this year's World Creole Music Festival. The details in this week's Newsline Entertainment.
Carnival 2019 has gotten off to a colorful start in Antigua. The National Festivals Commission hosted the official opening on Thursday evening with a parade through the streets of St. John's. Chairman of the Festivals Commission, Maurice Merchant, promised revelers an exciting carnival and encouraged them to stay safe.
Look out for the other party goer, and when you leave your party, please ensure that you are safe on our roads. We invite you to have fun. Have fun as only we can do in Antigua and Barbuda.
And it's also fetting season in Barbados. Among the events on this weekend are the Junior Kadooment on Saturday and the Soca Monarch Finals on Sunday. Dominicans are gearing up for the World Creole Music Festival. Last weekend, the Dominica Festivals Commission announced the lineup for this year's events. Among the confirmed artists are the Zouk All-Stars, WCK Band, as well as Afrobeat star Davido. The Creole All-Stars, featuring Gordon Henderson, will also perform. Regional stars, including Patrice Roberts and Mr. Killer, are also included, and patrons can expect an appearance from Buju Banton. This year's festival will run from October 25th to 27th. Marie-Claire Williams, Newsline Entertainment.
Ahead in Newsline Sport, no Andre Russell or Darren Bravo in the Windies squad for the ODI series against India. Stay with us.
Jump, 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 jump,
Residents of Crown Point affected by the construction of a new terminal building at A&R Robinson International Airport are being assured they'll get all the support possible for their transition to a new area. They were invited to a second community meeting with project manager NIDCO, or the National Infrastructure Development Company, along with the Tobago House of Assembly and other stakeholders. The residents were updated on the approved land acquisition policy.
Coming up, eye-catching art, a mix of cultures on display in one location. It's time for CaribFesta. The best of Barbados outside of Barbados. Antigua and Barbuda get showcased to the world. Plus, an East-West fusion of sound. It's all next on Caribbean Passport on this station.
Well, it's sports time, and injury-plagued Andre Russell and Darren Bravo won't be in the West Indies squad for the three-match ODI series against India, which starts next month. Both featured in the just-concluded ICC World Cup in England, but neither made much impact in their limited appearances. Bravo is one of the major omissions, especially coming less than a year after his return to international cricket from a 2-year hiatus owing to a nasty public squabble with former Cricket West Indies president Dave Cameron. Russell, recently named in the T20 international squad, subject to a fitness test, had a frustrating World Cup campaign, scoring just 36 runs from 3 innings and claiming only 5 wickets. He limped out of the tournament with a chronic knee injury, which dogged him throughout and hampered his progress. From that World Cup squad, speedster Shannon Gabriel and off-spinner Ashley Nurse have also been dropped, along with batsman Sunil Ambrose, who was called up as a replacement for Russell. But veteran opener Chris Gayle has been included in the 14-man squad after making an about-turn on his retirement. Opener John Campbell, all-rounder Roston Chase, and seamer Kimo Paul have also been called up. And all-rounder Carlos Brathwaite is looking forward to the outing with the Indians in Florida. Speaking on the sidelines of the West Indies training session in Antigua, Brathwaite was confident that the regional men would repeat a feat similar to when he was captain of the squad.
I'm very excited to be back in Florida, where I had my debut as a captain in the West Indies. And you can remember that series was very memorable as well, with a massive score in the first game, 400-odd runs, and then a very tight one in the second one that we won with the rain. So expecting similar fight, similar grit, similar competition between the two teams. And obviously West Indies and India have had good battles in the past, and I expect nonetheless come the 2 games in Florida.
Brathwaite believes the Caribbean side has what it takes to roll over the world #1 team.
Looking forward to ODIs against India. Obviously we knew how close we were in a few games in the World Cup, and it was just the 1%ers, couple drop chances or chances here and there. So I think as a team it's incumbent on us to do what we did well in the World Cup and then make wrong things right, and then I guess start looking to 2023 by finding and executing a brand of cricket that can be used across all conditions and eventually win cricket games.
Meanwhile, Guyanese batsman Kimo Paul is relishing the opportunity to wear regional colours once more. The 21-year-old played the last of his 11 ODIs last December before being sidelined with injury. He's confident, though, of a Windies victory in the series, as we hear in this report from Newsroom's Akeem Green.
Ranked number 9 by the International Cricket Council, West Indies will host India, who are ranked number 2 for 3 ODIs, the first of which will be staged at the National Stadium Providence on Thursday, August 8th. The home side entered the series after the disastrous campaign in the just-concluded Cricket World Cup, with just 2 wins in 9 matches. India, on the other hand, were pipped as favourites to win and were outdone by the brilliance of New Zealand in a thrilling semi-final. It is backed by bilateral engagements, and prior to the World Cup, West Indies were in hot form with a 2-all draw with England, who are now the world champions. Recall to the squad is all-rounder Kimo Paul, who is positive that despite the recent shortcomings, West Indies can look back at a performance against England and be confident they can replicate it against India.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the series against England was definitely a confidence booster for all the players, and I think that we know that we could beat any team back in the Caribbean, so we'll be going into this series pretty confident and hoping to win this series.
A 21-year-old Arung the last played ODI cricket in December 2018 on a tour to Bangladesh. His absence was mainly due to injury, which occurred during the England Test. Having dealt with the pain of missing the World Cup, the Nippy seamer is eager to taste international cricket again.
Well, obviously it's a good feeling to be back in the West Indies setup. I mean, pick for the home series against India, so it's a good feeling, you know. Must give God thanks and praise for that, and just looking forward to grabbing the opportunity with both hands and looking to make a big impact as possible in this series.
He used the India A series as preparation, where he picked up 4 wickets in 3 matches and played some fighting innings with a bat, albeit in losing causes.
Well, I mean, it was a good run out for me. You know, playing in the India A series, just getting back a feel like of international cricket, you know, was good. Also to be around the West Indies setup and be around the guys, you know, feel pretty comfortable and pretty confident. So it was a pretty good couple games for me. So just hoping to carry that into the international.
Over to the Cayman Islands, where the under-23 football team's qualification for the next round of the CONCACAF Olympic qualifying prelims hangs in the balance. This after they lost to Grenada's Spice Boys on Wednesday. Cayman 27's Jordan Armaniz has the details.
Of course, Cayman looking to qualify for the Summer Olympics for the first time in history. Nice crowd there, first half. Cayman free kick, Kareem Foster on target, but keeper Jeremy Richardson would gather. Later on, Foster right here, the 1-2 off the foot of Leighton Thomas Jr. Beautiful back heel right there, but Foster sails it over the net. Beautiful chance. He would regret that one. On the other end, Grenada passing on display here. O'Neal Hostin makes a move outside the box, fires, but Albertini Holness comes up huge for Cayman. Point blank save. Grenada again pressuring, this time Holness. Watch him come off his line, way out. Sadrell Lewis makes a move right around him, crosses to Leon Braveboy, but Akeem Hyde there for Cayman. Now Cayman on the other side, back and forth game here. Elijah Seymour, beautiful footwork, makes a move. He goes down, but the referee says, hey, young man, you get right back up, and fans did not like that one. Thomas Jr. down the pitch now. He makes the move. He falls, and again, the ref, no call. This one scoreless at the half, second half. Michael Martin, the 1-2 here. Thomas Jr. in the box. Again, he goes down, and again, no call. Head coach Ben Pugh beside himself there. The 59th minute, everything would change. Grenada, heel pass here. Darren Madu fires home, and they would take the lead, and that would be for good. 1-0.
And that's it for sport. We'll be right back.
After an emergency, you can help yourself and others by looking, listening, and linking. Looking because you want to see if the person has some signs that is in distressing. Looking for the symptoms, how best you can support the person. And then listening, because listening is very important. Listening with your ears, listening with your eyes. If you do that well, then you'll be able to link them to the appropriate resources.
Be ready, look, listen, and link.
A recap of the day's major developments. Guyana's president and opposition leader agree on Justice Claudette Singh as the country's new elections boss. And in sport, Andre Russell and Darren Bravo excluded from the Windy squad for the ODI series against India, which starts next month, and that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CondoNews.com, and for more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again on Monday, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night and a safe weekend.